Hi friends, welcome to Rows Rising. My name is Katie and we are in the midst of the Three Rivers Pantry Challenge or the Three Rivers Challenge. And that is where we are eliminating going to the grocery store and living off of the food stores that we've been prepping over the year or previous years. So I am making a whole bunch of meals made from scratch and I'm sharing all of those with you. We've got breakfast, lunches, dinners, and some days we had leftovers or we had repeat meals. So I'm not sharing every single day of the week's every single meal, but you're getting the idea. And of course, we always have leftovers, which is a blessing because then it's one less thing that I have to do is prepare a meal because we've had some leftovers. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed checking out these meals. Most of them are made in under 30 minutes. They're really quick, really easy, and you probably have all the ingredients in your kitchen right now to make some of this food if you have a well-stocked pantry. So thank you so much for joining me today. On this channel, I share with you all about holistic homemaking, lifestyle, and parenting. If that's something you are into, make sure you click the subscribe button because I would love to have you a part of the Rows Rising family. Now, let's start making some delicious meals together. Definitely going to be cooking up these potatoes in some of that bacon grease that is left over from lunch. I cook the kids bacon bits to put on top of their cream and mushroom soup. So I'm going to cut up these potatoes with an onion and throw these in the saute pan and get these going for dinner. I'll also add some ham and make like a ham potato hash like I did last week. I need to use up the rest of that ham from that grocery haul. All right, just real simple so far. It's going to cook and brown up, but we got the bacon grease with onions, potatoes, and ham. All right, we're just using some smoked paprika and some poultry seasoning. Gonna have some peas, frozen peas we're heating up. That's dinner for the kids tonight. We've got some peas and some potatoes with onions and ham. Easy. We are gonna take these mushrooms and turn them into soup. The first thing we're gonna do is saute some onions and some olive oil. So I'm gonna get those chopped up. It's always a great score when I can find something like mushrooms on sale at the grocery store, and then I can bring it home and come up with a dairy-free recipe that suits the whole family. Everybody that wants to eat this soup can, and I can enjoy it as well. So I've sauteed up the onions, added the mushrooms and a little bit of olive oil, and then we're gonna add to that some thyme and get everything aromatic and sizzling nicely in the pan. Next up, I'm gonna add a splash of, I'm using rice wine vinegar, but you can use any white vinegar that you have or light colored vinegar. Let that sizzle for another minute. I'm taking 4 cups of almond milk and I'm gonna add about 2 tablespoons of cornstarch in there. And we're gonna blend that up really well before we add it into our Instant Pot. Once we add that, we're gonna keep on stirring and make sure that everything gets nice and creamy. So thickened up mushroom soup. Nice and creamy. Good stuff. I also cooked up some bacon to top the mushroom soup with. I think that will be tasty for the kids. Found this garlic bread in the freezer and we have a complete meal. Is we're gonna cut this cheese into blocks, and I wish I had a cheese cutter. My dad has a really fancy cheese cutter and he made it. He's a blacksmith as a hobby, and it has scrolled edges and then it goes up into a circle and there's a wire stretched between that's twisted on the end, and you just take it and with the handle and you just push down on your cheese and it cuts your cheese beautifully. But we don't have anything fancy like that today. We do have some new vacuum sealer bags that we're going to try out today from Centis, and this is the 6-roll pack. They've got 3 rolls of the 8-inch by 20-inch vacuum seal bags, which is, these small ones are the ones that I use the most, and I just ran out of those, so I needed more. And then 3 rolls of the 11-inch by 20-inch. So we've got the big bags too, but today I'm after the smaller ones because those are what I use to vacuum seal, and then I freeze my cheese. And I'm just gonna go grab my scissors and get these cut to size. Yes, ma'am. All right, we got all this cheese bagged up. I got Torsten, he wrote the date and what kind of cheddar it is on there. Annika wants to write mozzarella. I'm just gonna have her, she's in kindergarten. I'll have her write M-O-Z-Z. These Centis bags worked really, really well, and they made an excellent vacuum seal, and they have the proper vacuum seal gridding on there that allows them to be vacuum sealed. Good morning, good morning. I'm making breakfast for my 5 kids, and Aaron and I eat a bit differently. We're gonna eat later in the day, but right now, this is what I have going on for my kids. Right. This morning we're making breakfast. One of my biggest pans is this caraway pan, and to make eggs in it and bacon in it is wonderful because it doesn't stick. I also have my cast iron. This works out really well. So we've got all those eggs in there. I could probably fit a few more. I'm just gonna put the lid on and let those finish cooking. And then we've got some bacon over here for the kids for breakfast. And then I'm also cutting up some melon. So they're gonna have eggs, bacon, and melon this morning. And hopefully that ties them over to lunch. We're also making some bread in the bread machine. I have that going. This is how the kids are eating this morning. They're gonna enjoy a yummy breakfast. Okay, today's lunch is a kale salad with all kinds of stuff in it. I added a bunch of cucumbers, carrots, grated up really fine. Then it's got seeds and cranberries on it, topped with some goat cheese. And then Aaron made some, we don't know if these are, I think these are deer tenderloin steaks. So that's lunch. Aaron made some burgers for the kids for lunch. These are...
Yeah, they're done.
Cow burgers?
Yes, cow burgers.
Beef burger.
Actually, I don't know.
You don't remember what you got out? I think those are beef burger because the deer burger is buried in the freezer. He ran out of the store and got some buns out in the snow.
What do you want on your burger?
We also baked bread today, so we'll have bread for tonight and tomorrow. All right, this morning, some homemade bread toast with scrambled eggs, and then we stewed those azure apples that we got with a little bit of sugar and a bunch of cinnamon, and we just cooked them because they're already soft apples. The kids aren't really eating them raw, so we're gonna be using them in cooked recipes. So that's how we're feeding the kids this morning.
I'll give you one that's not so sloppy.
All right, Aaron makes a really amazing burger and a really amazing Sloppy Joe.
Yep.
From scratch with tomato paste and brown sugar and all that good stuff.
Garlic powder, onion powder.
Good stuff. How is it? What'd you think?
This is great with some pickle.
This is a dairy-free treat. It's a little bit of ice cream with some bananas. This caramelized coconut topping. The secret to this is to submerge the can in some hot water, and that melts the caramel so that you can put it on your ice cream. It's dairy-free. Deliciousness.
It actually smells really good because roundabouts are confusing.
Every once in a while, I like to make the kids a fancy drink, and it consists of the SodaStream water, bubbly water, and some juice. And I'm also going to cut up some fruit and put it in there. Today I'm going to put limes in there. This is one way to get my kids to drink some extra fluids when I think that they need more when they've been outside running around and playing in the snow. We also do hot chocolate, but today I was feeling a little bit fancy with the limes and the juice that we had, so that's what we're going to make here. I'm filling up my 68-ounce glass pitcher. It has a silicone base on it, which is nice. It keeps it from smashing or breaking, and it has a nice handle on it. It also has a lid, a stainless steel lid that can filter out any ice or any particles that might be in your drink, like the limes and stuff that I want to stay in my glass pitcher. They're going to stay in there, and the kids are going to be able to pour this as well. So that works out great for me. I just set this out on the counter, and then they can drink from it all day long, and I don't have any bad feelings about them having some watered down fizzy juice. Good stuff. It's time to cook up another soup, so I've got some tomato sauce that I canned up this last fall, as well as some chicken broth. We've got some freeze-dried celery, some pasta, a potato, tri-blend beans in a can. We're gonna throw in some Italian season, salt and pepper. We've got carrots cut up as well as zucchini, and all of this is gonna go together to make a minestrone soup, but I'm gonna be using freeze-dried onions and freeze-dried celery for this recipe, so I am gonna start them in some oil and add a little bit of water to rehydrate them as well and get those started to saute up. And once all the liquids are added, the onions and celery, you wouldn't even know that they're freeze-dried. They're tasty in the soup. And at the end, I'm gonna end up adding some ricotta to this soup, but I didn't include it in my initial recipe because I was making it dairy-free, but then decided it needed a little bit of cheese in it for the kids, so we ended up adding ricotta, and it turned out amazing. It's like a minestrone slash lasagna soup because it has the ricotta in it, and it just makes it a yummy Italian, fully nourishing with everything you need soup. I've diced up a zucchini, and I also have a par-baked potato that I chopped or diced into little pieces. And I'm going to add those a little later because they're already cooked, but I do want them to take on the flavor of the rest of the soup, so they do need to simmer in there for a while. I'm adding 4 or 5 cloves of garlic because yum, garlic is so good and good for us. I'm also going to be adding some Italian seasoning to this, as well as the chicken broth that we had canned a while back and some tomato sauce that we had from late summer harvest of my neighbors. She gave us a whole bunch of tomatoes and I turned it into a delicious tomato sauce. I strain out all the skins and all the seeds in my sauces, and then I added the pasta. We're going to add the beans as well as a few teaspoons of salt, and then we'll adjust as needed. We definitely needed to add more. Some pepper, fresh ground is going in next. We're going to bring this up to a boil and allow these noodles to cook through completely, and everything is going to be delicious. Here go those potatoes. We're going to get those added in, and I'm going to pop the lid on this pot and just let it go to town. And then when I come back and check it about 15 minutes later, this is how it looks. Amazing. Oh, and it smells so good too. This ended up being one of my family's favorite soups. The kids asked for it, and then actually today I made a regular beef vegetable soup. And they said, "Mom, does this have the pasta and beans in it?" And I felt bad because I had already dished out the soup and I didn't add any pasta or beans, but they really enjoyed it. I probably should have added some ricotta to it to make it taste more like this soup, but this soup was so good. They gobbled it up and they ate the leftovers the next day too. And apparently they liked it enough to wish it was tonight's dinner. So I'm definitely going to keep this on our meal prep list of family favorites for a wintertime meal. There you see I'm adding some ricotta to this for those in the family that can have some cheese in their soup, and I also put some in the kids' bowls at the table. We got Aaron on this is a bottom round roast, and this came from the quarter cow that we purchased recently last month, and he has seasoned it with salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, and with a bottom round roast, this is a low fat roast. It's not like a chuck roast or anything else. So you cook it low and slow to an internal temp of about 115. And then when you take it out and rest it, it'll go to 120. And so we're gonna cook that until, there's your thermometer.
Well, if we're not gonna
I would put
reverse sear it, then we'll go to like 120, 125.
Yeah, we'll go to about 120 in the oven. So he's gonna stick the thermometer in it now. And then when he puts it in the oven, our thermometer plugs into our oven. And so that will tell us when it reaches an internal temp of 115, 120. So that's going to go in there for a couple of hours. So we left it in there until it got to about 125 internal temp, which ended up yielding a beautifully medium rare, more on the rare side a little bit, roast. It turned out awesome, and I'm cutting it against the grain. It is a little bit tough, so we did have to cut it up into tiny pieces for the kids.
Arby's was wrong. We got the meats.
We got the meat. This looks perfect.
I think it's good, yeah.
Right, this morning we're making a crisp crumble for the kids for breakfast, and we're going to top it with some yogurt. So all you have to do is add your oats, brown sugar, cinnamon, butter, and I made brown sugar with blackstrap molasses and cane sugar. I also like to add some almond flour into this, and I'm using quick rolled oats. And then you can just use something like this pastry knife and chop all the butter into there. We also added some cinnamon. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna dump these peaches into my pan, and you can grease it or butter it if you want to, but you don't have to do that. And then you top it with this and press that in and bake it for 25 to 30 minutes until it's nice and bubbly. The topping for this is simple. It's about 1.5 cups of rolled oats. Then you do about 1/2 cup of almond flour, a teaspoon of salt, about 3/4 cup of sugar, a teaspoon of blackstrap molasses in that sugar mixed up, 1 stick of butter, and 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. We're gonna mash all that together and bake at 350 for 25 minutes. Dinner tonight, we're just gonna make a snack board. We'll probably cut up some cheese also and some toast and butter, that kind of stuff, but we made vegetables and hummus for now. And this will tide the kids over. And then I'm gonna have some rice and chicken. I don't know if the kids want more of that, but I figured I'd get them some vegetables, raw veggies in their diet tonight because they've been eating carbs, and they had that fruit crisp this morning. They had rice and chicken for lunch. And so this is going to be a simple, easy dinner. So we just made or warmed up some dates in some water so that they can blend. We're going to do oats, chia seeds, almond flour. We're going to do some sunflower butter, some Earth Chimp organic vegan protein shake mix, and a little bit of salt. We're going to make some protein balls. I think I'm forgetting something, maybe some chocolate chips. We'll see what it turns into. You know, the wise thing to do would to have been to follow a recipe. These turned out really great, but just so you guys kind of see the method to my madness, that I don't really follow recipes. I will look online at multiple recipes, see what I have, and then I just usually wing it. Occasionally I do write things down, but as you can see right now, I'm just adding ingredients to this, what I think is going to be good in these proportions. So this is what I've put in there. Nearly 2 cups of oats, then about 1/2 cup of almond flour. We did 1/2 cup of that protein powder, 2 heaping tablespoons of chia seeds, and then we did about 4 tablespoons of sunflower butter, but I definitely need to add triple that amount. And I'm also going to end up adding some coconut oil off camera, as well as some honey that you're going to see me add here in a minute. You can also add a little bit of I hesitate to add water to an oat recipe. I just didn't want the oats to become mushy, but you could add a tablespoon or so of that date water to it. I just didn't want the oats to get soggy, so I didn't do that. I chose to just stick with the thicker constituents like the sunflower butter, and then I'm going to add the honey here in a minute. And this recipe turned out really well. They turned into great little protein balls. That was about 2 to 3 tablespoons of honey in there. And you can also add a little bit of cinnamon, and that really works nicely with chocolate. Not too much, but like a hint of cinnamon would be really good in these as well. And then when I roll these into balls, I'm adding chocolate chunks to the insides so that when my kids eat them, they have a little chocolate surprise on the inside. And these are perfect for right now because my kids are outside playing in the snow all day. And I failed to show you the rest of the process, but this is what those protein oat balls look like. And they each have 1 or 2 chocolate chunks in them. The kids have been eating them. This was probably double this amount. These are really, really good. Definitely give them a try. I kind of winged it. I don't have a recipe that I follow. I just made it. I kept adding honey and adding nut butter or whatever until I could get it to pack and make the nice balls. I also added a tablespoon of coconut oil or more. You can add plenty of coconut oil in there, and that will help make them turn into balls too. So you just have to play with it. See what you got, what recipe, what ingredients you have in your house. Look up like 5 different recipes online and then come up with your own protein yumminess ball recipe. All right, I need some protein this week for myself specifically. So what I like to do is cook up a whole chicken in my Instant Pot, and then I peel all the chicken meat off the bones, and then I throw the bones back in the Instant Pot with some seasonings, herbs, spices, the carcass, some extra water, and I make a bone broth. So the first step is to take this out of the package, throw it in my Instant Pot on the grate with about a cup of water in the bottom, and then we're gonna pressure cook this for about 30 minutes or so, probably closer to 45, because 30 minutes never cooks my chicken all the way in the pressure cooker. So we'll cook it. I'll season it up with some real salt, some pepper, things of that nature. I might throw a lemon on the inside. A lemon with some garlic is good on the inside of this, so I might be doing that as well. Every few days I go out to the freezer and I get meat out. So we've got some deer burger, we've got some elk New York steaks, and we've got some deer backstrap and some more deer backstrap. So that'll be Aaron and the kids' meat for the next few days. All right, so I know it doesn't look amazing, but the chicken is cooked, it's seasoned. We're gonna throw some more salt on it after we pull it off the bone. And then everything that's in the bottom, all the drippings and everything, you can make a gravy with that. And throw some shredded chicken in it, put that over a potato or over some toast or whatever. Have it over some rice. I'm gonna make some rice next while I debone this, while this cools in another pan. And then I'm gonna make some rice, and I'm gonna have some chicken and rice. So I'm gonna use all the drippings in here for the rice, and then I'll use the carcass to make chicken bone broth. All right, so we deboned the chicken, took all the meat off, set that aside in there. Then we stuck the carcass in here, and you can add anything you want to, ginger, turmeric. You can add all sorts of herbs and spices and seasonings, but what we're gonna do is just put it in our Instant Pot as it is right now, because I have to run out the door to my rheumatology appointment. So I'm headed to that. I'm gonna just put this in here to slow cook. So we're just gonna slow cook that, and we're gonna do it for all day and all night. When I come home, I'll add more stuff to it, but for now, we'll just start it right there. And then I also used the chicken drippings from the first, like when I cooked the chicken in the Instant Pot, and I made some rice with all of that fat and all that goodness. So the kids are gonna have chicken and rice and maybe some broccoli for lunch. We have got a blizzard outside, and we're definitely snowed in, but Aaron's been out there digging it out. So today the kids are outside playing in the snow, and we've got this leftover bottom round roast. I'm going to cube that up into tiny pieces, and I'm going to make a beef vegetable soup. We're going to use some crushed tomatoes, this leftover chicken broth that I made over the last few days. We're going to use some of this. This is a big 3-pound bag, but we're only going to use about a quarter of it. Then we've got some onions and celery rehydrating that we're going to be dumping into our Instant Pot, and a zucchini that I need to use up. So we're just going to start out with some oil in there, and then we're gonna dump that in there. We've got our zucchini chopped up in there as well. I'm debating, I think I've got a couple potatoes back there, so I'm gonna add some potatoes to this as well. All right, we diced the potato, so we've got our celery, onions, zucchini, and potato. Next up, I'm gonna add some of these mixed vegetables and my Italian seasoning, salt, and pepper. And then we're gonna add, actually, I need to cut up this beef and add this beef in there first. All right, the meat's going in. Uh-oh, stuff's starting to burn. Turn that off. All right, everything's looking good so far. The vegetables got a little browned, but not actually too badly. So we're just gonna sprinkle in some, a bunch of salt. A bunch of salt, because we got lots of vegetables that are gonna need seasoning and broth and stuff that doesn't have. We got our Italian seasonings. Okay, and I'm gonna crack some pepper in there. We're gonna add the vegetables and the broth and the tomatoes, and I'll show you what it looks like. This is the soup with all the frozen vegetables and tomatoes and broth. So I put this on the soup function on my Instant Pot, and I am gonna let this go for 10 minutes, and I'm gonna let it naturally depressurize. So we just make sure our ring is on correctly. Gonna close this up, close that, and it's set for 10 minutes on the soup function. So in 10 minutes, actually more like 15 minutes, we'll have a delicious lunch, and I have bread baking in the oven. Since this is a vegetable soup and I have a bunch of freeze-dried bok choy, I decided I'm gonna add some of that in there as well. Maybe get this little end piece out, but the rest of it should be good in there. I'm gonna put the lid back on this. I was trying to think if there was anything else I should add, and I think I might add a little bit more corn. My kids really like the corn that we got from Azure that I froze, and I think that this could definitely use some more corn in it. So I'm gonna throw some more of that in there before this starts cooking too much, and then we'll pressure cook it for the 10 minutes. All right, so this has gone down. We released the pressure and the indicator has gone down, so we can now open this up. Take a look at it. I know it doesn't look like the most appetizing soup at first. I'm gonna mix it up. All the things came up to the top. I didn't add any beans or anything to this, but this does have steak in it, or some beef roast. So it smells amazing, and it's chock full of so many good vegetables. So I'm gonna serve this up with some fresh bread to the kids, bread and butter and soup. Yum, yum.
Can you imagine trying to do this out in the snow?
And this is my fresh daily loaf of bread. I'm just gonna dump it out of here and let it cool for a little bit, and then in a little bit, the kids can have some bread and butter. They're already eating their soup, and this wasn't ready quite in time, but they were hungry because they've been outside playing, and look at the snow. We've already wiped off the banisters once. So tonight we're just gonna cook a bunch of baked potatoes in the Instant Pot. It's chaos in the background, but we had a huge snowstorm and the power might go out, so I'm hopeful it doesn't. But we're gonna go ahead and cook up 8 of these. There's 7 of us in the family, but I think only the 5 kids are gonna be eating them. And then we'll use the extras for lunch tomorrow. Maybe I can fit one more in there. And then maybe I can fit a sweet potato in there for me. And then we're gonna have some chicken gravy on top. We're gonna have some chicken gravy on top of the potatoes, and that's just made with chicken broth, cornstarch, because I'm gonna make it gluten-free, and some chicken left over from that chicken we cooked the other day. And then we're going to have stewed apples with cinnamon and sugar. So I have all those Azure standard apples, and they are going quick. So I'm gonna cook up a whole bunch of those so that we can just eat on those throughout the week, cooked nicely. With cinnamon and sugar. So we'll use it as a topping for yogurt. We'll use it as a topping for granola, if I make granola, oatmeal, pancakes, all that sort of stuff. So I'll just get the sliced apples cooked up with some lemon juice, cinnamon, and sugar, and those should stay nice for the next couple days. All right, chicken gravy is gonna be super, super simple. We've had vegetables today, so I'm not worried about vegetables tonight, but we're just gonna do some bacon grease in the pan, chop up this chicken really little, into little pieces, and then we're gonna saute these together. Then we're gonna mix some cornstarch with some chicken broth, and we're gonna mix that up into our cast iron skillet, season it with real salt and some pepper. The real salt, organic seasoning salt, that's good stuff. And that is gonna give us a nice chicken gravy to put on top of our potatoes. This whole chicken fed us probably 3 different meals this week. Definitely worth it to buy a whole chicken and use the whole thing and make broth and everything with it. So this is what we're having for dinner. We made the chicken gravy on top of potatoes, and we made the apple cinnamon stewed apples. Good hearty meal. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. I will see you in the next video. Bye.
We'll be right back.